gang. I was in the heart of it, where it all happened, in the dark of it. I'm talking all the graphic. Do I ever miss a block? Man, they all asses. I think it's heaven at the top till it all crashes. I was functioning with the rep cause I was one of them. Look, every soldier around kept a gun on them. Everything looking for them, running up on them. I got some pictures in my mind, I could never post them. It was explosive every day, we made a show of it. Tried to get rich and died trying, had to go for it. A generation off the killer made you know of it. But it's hard to be proud when you're grown from it. The clear wrong of it seemed right then. A fraternity of brothers.
This is Gangsta-Gangsta, and I am your host, Askari Abdul-Muntaqim, and I'm here with my co-host,
Mr. Michael Hall,
better known as Deacon Michael Hall. What's the name of your church again, Deacon?
Mount Olive Church of God in Christ.
It is not Mount Olive Church of God in Christ. I don't even go to the church, and I know it's not
Mount Olive Christ Holiness. You always get me, man. I gotta watch you. I really gotta watch you.
Yeah, hey, they gonna kick you out the church,
you're
bro.
Too tricky. I have to watch you.
The pastor gonna see the podcast. Be like, bro, you gotta leave the church. You can't even say our name right no more. You all on the air. You can't even say our name. You out here.
You switch it up on me so much. You know, I was waiting for the baby duck. Yeah, I was waiting for that.
Formerly known as Baby Duck.
Yeah.
You was expecting that one, huh?
You switch it up on me so much. I gotta stay on my toes with you. I see.
Stay on your toes, baby boy. Okay, so today we're going to be doing an interview with Mr. Marcus Naggles. And am I saying your name right? Naggles or Naggles? What is your name? How do you spell your last name?
Naggles.
Naggles, right? Your Naggles. You were my celly. I should know that.
Where y'all was at together?
Centinela. No. Yes, it was Centinela.
What year?
I've been confused with Centinela and Corpus sometimes, but yeah, it was Centinela. Yeah.
What year was it?
From that we were selling together, because I was here.
Nah, just that he was at Centinela with you.
2006. 17.
Why do you have an echo? Why do you have an echo?
I'm not sure.
Are you on?
I'm on a cell phone.
Okay. No, it sounds good now. Whatever you just did is
better. Right, it's better.
It's better now.
Yeah. So you were in there from 16 to when?
At Centinela, I was there from 2016 to 2019, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, 2016 to 2019.
I wish I had that picture, of you. Like, remember you had your shirt off and you was banged out. I really wish I had a picture so I could show to the audience like the transformation, like the true transformation. So you'll get it to me, and I'll put it in the edit so people can actually see.
Yeah.
And it's what's amazing about transforming your life, from being a gangster is that people can't imagine when they see you now. They can't imagine what you were, right? And that's when real transformation has happened. When people look at you and be like, "What? You was on? No, ain't no way in hell. You can't convince me that you was, And and then if you're talking about you were acting at a high level, they'd be like, "No, you got to be kidding me." That's wonderful. Okay, so I call you Umar, right? Because you're Muslim, alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
All right, so now, but what do you want to be called? Like, what names do you like to use when you're talking?
I'm Umar, and many people call me Mark Jr., Marcus Jr., Marcus, Umar is all fine to me, but I prefer to be called Umar.
Okay. Yeah. Umar it is. Okay, now so how's Pops doing?
Pops passed away.
Oh, did he? Oh, I think you told me that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Pops passed away September, man. September. That's really when nobody wasn't really calling me Marcus for a minute,
but I kind of been allowing that to because I to embrace the junior. You know what I'm saying? As in honor of my pops. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
Because
sorry to hear that too, Umar.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's been different.
Right.
Yeah, I remember how close you were with your father, man. So yeah, it's really important that we honor our parents, you know. In life and in death. Both my parents are dead, but you know, I like to live my life in an honorable fashion and to bring honor to their name and to the son that they raised, you know. You know, the different things like that. So so let's get into it. Let's talk. So who were you and where were you from?
Well, I was formerly known as Baby C Bang. Many would call me Baby Bang, from 51st Street, Trouble Gangsters, or 51st in Normandy. I was original. Now, 51st Street, they got it's a section of 51st Street called the OK Block. I was a founding member of the OK Block. Now there's a lot of young brothers coming up who represent that type of stuff. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And so just so full disclosure, I gotta say full disclosure at least once in a broadcast. I'm always full disclosure. Now, full disclosure, the theme song that you hear at the beginning of this podcast and the second interview that we did with Damian Williams is Umar's masterful work. I mean, when I say masterful, I mean masterful. I sent it to you, Michael. Did you listen to it?
Yes, I did. And Umar is responsible for that.
Was that banging?
It was cool. It was cool.
That was like,
it was cool.
I'm in the heart of it.
Right. I was listening to it in the living room, and Rufus heard it, and Rufus was like, "Who was that?" I was like, "It's something J Mouse sent me." I said, "You already know J Mouse. J Mouse is, you know, he looked like a nerd, but you know, it's these two sides to him."
I tell people that all the time. I literally in prison I used to have to tell people that when they didn't understand who I was, right? When they didn't understand me, I said, dude, there's two sides to me, right? You see this other side all the time, but you better man, there's another side to me, fella. You better raise up, you know.
For real. But so you say Umar is responsible for that song?
Yeah, he wrote it, produced it,
what?
All the beats, the whole line. Hey, man, this dude used to be in the cell, man. Like with the we're all out of prison now, so it doesn't matter. With the cell phone, because I cell phone, and he would put those beats, and he was sitting there, and I sometimes be talking to Shelly. I'll be talking to Shelly, and he over there mixing beats and he was. I'm telling you, the brother is a genius. That's not even close to one of his best songs. That's not even. That'll tell you the kind of talent this kid got.
The crazy thing is, I still do it on the same program, but just on the computer now.
Oh well, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Did you upgrade to the Pro, or are you still using my Pro that I bought? You know, because we get it for life. You know, I don't use it.
For real.
You actually get that thing for life. You buy it and it's yours.
For real.
So now when you you went to prison, and when you went to prison, was it your first time in prison?
Yes, I went out. I was 17. They tried me as an adult.
Right, you went to 17. So did you ever go to camp YA placement, anything like that?
No, I actually was one of those I got tried as an adult twice. So before I went to
talk to us about that. What do you mean twice?
All right, so when I was 16 or 15, we got locked up for bank robbery, and they tried us as adults, and we took a deal for 2 strikes, so we wouldn't get 20 years back then. But you know, it was the so we took that deal for 2 strikes. It was 5 of us got out, and then I came back in 2 months for that long stint.
So why didn't they give you a life sentence? They gave you a life sentence or no?
They didn't give me life because it was a package deal. So pretty much me and my co-defendant, Lil Midnight, he's also a Muslim, brother Alim. He is we went in there and it was a package deal for us to take 20 years. He had a longer history in the court system, but he didn't have no strikes. But they made him take 2 strikes for me not to get struck out with 3 strikes. So
I mean, that's all kinds of wrong. You know, I mean, just listen to how the criminal justice system works. Yeah. Say here, this guy comes in, he has no strikes.
Right.
Yeah. I want to tell you with this one crime, you need to take 2 strikes so that and we're gonna leverage your homeboy. Saying, if you don't take this, we're gonna wash him up.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So they was leveraging it both. They was leveraged. They had all kind of leverage they was trying to use to get us to. I mean, at first they weren't even trying to give a deal, but we was looking for a deal because we knew what the outcome in trial was gonna be.
Right.
So you know, we was looking for that deal, and so they seen that willingness to take a deal, and they was pushing a hard bargain.
Okay. So your life crime, what was it, and how did it happen? What happened there?
So my life crime.
You didn't have a life crime because you didn't get life, but the crime that they went to prison for. What was going on there?
So I went to jail 2 counts of attempted murder. It happened 2 different days, 2 days back to back. So it was in the 40s. I caught a attempted murder in the 40s, and then right before that, I caught an attempted murder just with some foolishness going on in the area with somebody that I knew.
Yeah. So your rivalry with the 40s. I was talking with Michael about this, like, you know, our rivalry with the 6-0s, right? There was always with us you lived in fear of dying, because we were 2 deadly sets against each other. We were giving funerals out like candy. You know, like if we caught somebody, it was gonna go bad, and they caught us, it was gonna go bad, that kind of thing. You know, we moving in they moving in our set, you know, doing the thing. So how was that with you all? Did you all have that kind of intensity with your rivals, or
yeah, man, it's intense. It's so intense, like, you know, down Budlong, we can look down Budlong at Vermont Square Park, and they down there deep, and we down there off Budlong and 50 or 51st, all that. We down that way deep, so we can look down the street, and it's all day. We going, you know, dudes busting missions back and forth all day. You know, it was just it was a constant war zone that, you know, it was kind of like you get used to. You know, it didn't even seem like as much as a war zone because it was normalcy. It was just like that's what was happening on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
Right. It become normalized.
Yeah.
You just basically normalized it as an everyday occurrence.
Yeah, for real. It was an everyday occurrence. It was like this was what's going on. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't a high time event. If you go in and you didn't shot some stuff up, it wasn't like nobody was just super amazed because this is just stuff that's happening every few minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So you all are very close in proximity, and we are with respect to 6-0s as well, in some places. So did you all go to elementary school together, junior high school together? Did you all go to high schools together?
So myself personally, I'm an LA baby. So I was raised all around the city. I was raised in Inglewood. I was raised over there across the street from Reverend Price Church on 79th. I was raised, you know what I'm saying?
Ain't no church on Pepperdine.
Yeah, it's Pepperdine University. You know what I'm saying? I was raised right there. I was raised in a lot of places in Inglewood. I was raised on Dinker and 51st. So I was like a dude that was just born and raised in LA. And so I didn't go to like John Muir, but I went to high school way out in Westchester. You know, but I was affiliated. You know, our dudes come and you be a part of a clique. Uh, so I was always in the 50s because I was a part of a clique called Flirts, and we was young little junior students, and then I came up, and then our whole clique turned trouble, and so all of a sudden it was every day in the 50s.
Right.
Hey, Story. It's funny how that click comes up every time. Huh?
Yeah, yeah. That's funny, ain't it, Michael?
Yeah, it's funny.
Uh,
Yeah, no, but don't go there, though.
yeah, that's some inside baseball. Yeah, but no, we're talking with a little football about that too. Like, you know, he
Yeah,
was talking that he was a part of a clique.
yeah,
And I remember in the 80s that was a big thing too. Like there would be sets inside the sets, and then the set would absorb them. They like, yeah, we ain't
yeah,
having that.
yeah.
Y'all,
On the
y'all
real.
started
Absolutely.
thing that you wouldn't all y'all
Yeah.
gonna come over here. You know, so that was a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So now talk to us about when you were young before before you became a gang member. What was your life like then, and what were your aspirations?
Um, so growing up, uh, I grew up in a time. So my pops was from Chicago, so he came out when he moved out here from Chicago and met my mom. My mama was born and raised in the Hoover area, in 11 Deuce Hoover area, up in the 7-4 Hoover area. And my step pops also was born and raised in on 107 and he was born and raised on 105th and Hoover, between Barron Cross and Hoover. And that grandmama house, Mama Cora, her house was right there on that block, still remains to this day, even as she rests. You know, my sister still live over there. So we was raised up right in that area, but I was raised up as a kid who played sports. Uh, I was real good in football and basketball. I was I was a attentive little young man, man. I was, you know, I wasn't I wasn't the dullest dude on the block. I had a little smarts coming up, and you know, it was a lot of people that had a whole lot of hopes in me, you know. So I would say I was that dude, but I was very impressionable. So as I say, I had all of these individuals that was in my atmosphere or in my surroundings or connected to my family network that I kind of like aspired to be linked in with these individuals. I had uncles who was very high figures in the gang life that was getting out of prison or that was riding around in lolos. I had cousins that was fully functioning as little young gangsters. So I grew up at a young age looking at that, and my moms and them had moved out of South Central and tried to move to Torrance, where it became like a race war out there in Torrance. So we was at war with the Hispanics out there in Torrance. So it was like I grew up watching that in like right around in the early 90s, 1990, 89, and 91. You know what I'm saying? I grew up watching that type of atmosphere. So I grew up with a little affinity towards the lifestyle and wanted to gravitate and make my mark in it, because I wanted to be as the people that was surrounding me, even though I still wanted to play sports and I wanted to do different other things that was productive ways of living. Uh, but I also was watching the gang lifestyle at a very young age, wanting to get my feet wet at a young age. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm struck by that theme that continues to come up over and over again. It came up with Michael. It came up with Lil Dame. You know, with Baby Duck and Lil Football. That they were very good at sports. They had aspirations of you know, improving their life through sports. And the environment was so
Mm-hmm.
overpowering that they basically didn't stand a chance. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that theme is keep coming up over and over and over again. You know, I wasn't really athletically inclined. You know, that wasn't my, you know, my thing. I never got there. You know, I'm a nerd. You know, I'm a book dude. Um, but yeah, but that theme is coming up over and over again. So when you were in the sports and those types of things, when did you have to make a choice? Like did you ever have to miss practice to go bang, or like you know, when did you have to stop making sports a priority in your life
Right.
and start making the set a
I,
priority?
I want to add to that question of Scary, and like, yeah, like, uh, how did the gang aspect become more attractive than the being productive, doing, you know, continuing to play sports, doing something productive? How did the gang aspect become more attractive than that part of it? You know, how did you make that choice? Like basically what Ascari is asking you, how did you make that choice?
Yeah. I would have to say this is something that I mulled over for years, and I can't pinpoint the exact moment because at always it was like wanting to be a sports player. It was something that, you know, me and a whole lot of kids growing up, we were serious about it. I'd be laughing at the kids these days. It's like they don't take sports serious like we took sports serious. Like, but they, you know, but I'm saying like I can't point a time and a date that I was like, hey, I don't want to play sports no more. It kind of like it happened in a way that just like I say with the click aspect, sometimes life away got a way of taking taking you in ways that you never imagined that you was gonna be in. So I would say I was playing sports, playing for traveling teams. You know, at school though, you get to smoking weed, you get to ditching, you get to you get to hanging with the fellas, and the hanging with the fellas get to being more attractive than being at practice. You get to wanting uh, that female who is more attracted to you when you was sitting back smoking some weed than you was at the when you were in the gym, not spending no time with her. Uh, and then you got the aspects of when you start having all of these affiliations. When I started having all of these affiliations,
Right.
that whether sports related or streets related, and then you start accumulating rivalries in the Los Angeles environment because it's so much of a gang culture that even if you ain't banging, people is taking sides. So it's like you end up in situations to where you choosing up, and you know what I'm saying. So you learn the negative behaviors, and then you learn to dislike certain other things. And then with me, I would have to say stopping sports was more related to that my aspirations to become a rapper, because before I went to prison, I had started doing shows, and I had started hitting big studios up. I had some famous individuals like my cousin was messing with J.O. Felony real heavy at the time, and he was at the house, and I was looking at J.O. Felony like, oh, this is music success, and I was like, man, I want to be a, you know, I got talent. I can do that. You know what I'm saying? And it was like when I seen that people liked my music, and that instant gratitude of people liking that music and wanting to bump my music, it was one of them years where I went to practice. They gave me one excuse. I always look back to that Mac 10 song when he was like, he said he blamed it on his knees. You know, you know what I'm saying? He stopped playing sports because he blamed those. I was looking for one excuse to be like, I'm cool on that, man. I'm doing this. So I found that excuse was like, man, I'm about to go to the studio. I'm about to rap. And it once it became that, I got to high school and it was like, okay, I'm rapping. I'm from Flirt. I'm wooty whoop. And all of a sudden, before you know it, I was from Trouble. And it was F this and F that, and this is me and this ain't me, and
Right.
it just was, yeah.
Right.
So talk to me about that transition from Clique. What's the name that they used to call it? The police used to call them taggers, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tag they set up so they would call them taggers. So
I want to share something real quick with him,
sure.
because when he talked about that one excuse, you remember I talked about when my parents didn't have the money for me to play football, and that was like the turning point in my life. But that was like an excuse to give up on football and to go to the gangs, because like he said, he was getting more affirmation from the rapping, from the homies he was hanging out with. And it was the same thing with me. I started getting more affirmations with the gang. So I see how like it's similar. Our stories are similar, which I would guess a lot of our stories are similar.
Yeah, for real.
Right.
So when you were Flirt, you were in high school, right? So you're in high school.
Junior high. Flirt started in junior high. So this is how flirts work. It was a clique. It had become a little big. We was in Long Beach. We was in Carson. We was up in Inglewood, and the headquarters was up in the 50s, up in where Trouble was at these days. You know what I'm saying? So it was so I was the dude, like I told you, my mom moved to Torrance. One of my good brothers, we was all going to, I was going to junior high school in Torrance, and he was from Flirts. And he's still like a brother to this day. He was one of the groomsmen in my wedding, my brother Chuck, and he kind of affiliated with the families these days, Inglewood families. But he is but he came out there, and he was in Torrance, and he was banging like he from Inglewood, and he was but long story short, he recruited me to be from Flirts. I was from some other clique when I was like in 6th grade, and then in 7th grade, I was like, he was older, and I liked it, the crew, I liked it, so we was like, man, we pushing Flirts. You know what I'm saying? So I started pushing Flirts with my brother Chuck, and my brother Chuck and them, in Flirts, we had big meet. We used to have big meetings. So cliques try to function like gangs. So we try to have a big old meeting. We used to have meetings in the 50s. One day I had we went to a meeting in the 50s, and it was like, no lie, it was like 100 Flirts on the block. And then we had the meeting in the middle of Fadu's Hoover Hood, but everybody knew them, the little Flirt homies. You know what I'm saying? So we all kicking it, and we, you know what I'm saying? But I gravitated, and I found one of my best friends who was the best man in my wedding, my brother Tyrone. He Lil Demon from Trouble. And he is so we clicked, and from that day we was like, boom, I end up going to Westchester, and me and Lil Demon was real tight at Westchester. And you know, Lil Demon, well, we was pushing Flirts, and long story short, Flirts had started beefing with the neighborhoods. So we was ready for the gunplay and all of that type of stuff while we was still click banging. And we was like, anybody can get it type of thing. And but the people from Hoover and Trouble, they was like, y'all is in the hood, y'all the homies, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's so long story short, a lot of young Flirts and a lot of young Troubles, a lot of young Flirts end up becoming either Fadu's Hoover or 5-1 Trouble, and still remain that close to this day, because it's all like one big family over there. And it's like that transition from Flirts came when I hooked up with brothers that was in the 50s, and they became like my comrades, my brothers, and they jumped my brother. The 6-0s jumped my brother at a party. And when the 6-0s jumped my brother, man, they did my brother real bad. And it was like, I was the dude that was just like, I didn't care if it was flirts or whatever. It was like F them and we going to war. So I took on that mentality, and they end up becoming from trouble and Hoover before I did, because I was still like, I'm from flirts. This the foundation for me. I was holding on to it, and they got put on, and I was still holding on to it. But one day I end up getting put on trouble. I was just like, these my homies, I'm rocking with them, and I got put on trouble, and it all was the head of it all came to when it started being funk with the 6 and we really chose sides after that. It was like
so that's what I want to talk about. That I remember Michael will remember the Sex Jerks, the Mod Squad, and even the Playboy Hustlers, and all of they were all cliques at first, right? And they did it because they didn't want to be gang members. They wanted to, like, they wanted always to separate themselves from. And ultimately, the culture of Los Angeles doesn't allow for that. There's no such thing as clicking up and then not beefing up or banging with somebody or against somebody, because the culture, by definition, that once you click up, you get into beef with somebody. If that dude is from somewhere, you now got beef with that whole squad. And then now you might need some backup, and then you're like, oh wait, this little tiny clique over here, even though y'all wasn't so tiny, but y'all admit, this little tiny clique can't deal with no war against this or something. And so ultimately, I think that's what happened with all of those cliques in LA, is that they all got subsumed by somebody set, because it was impossible to survive as a clique.
For real.
But what I have learned, that even just starting that clique is you creating a gang mentality.
Yeah,
that's like kind of like that's the beginning of your gang mentality when you starting that clique, because it's a group, y'all represent something, and y'all stand for something. Y'all got a sign, and y'all gonna protect that. Y'all gonna fight for that or whatever. So it become a gang. It become a gang mentality.
And the crazy thing is, people didn't want to be in gangs when they were doing that. They wanted to be. They just wanted to click up with their little homies, their little crew, and just have something. And they didn't even want a gang bang. And it turns out entirely differently.
And the crazy thing it is like in LA, especially, all of the cliques, they are being associated by some gang, or some gang is assigning some association to it. I remember coming up, you had at Westchester, like we had a clique called TH Dub. Everybody used to be like, they like 6-0. You had like something called CIP. They used to be like, they like Harlems. You know what I'm saying? And then you had the Flirts. Everybody was like, they baby Hoovers. You know what I'm saying? And then you had it was everybody was assigned something, and not only assigned by outside sources, the people within those cliques was having funk and beef with cliques that was from places that was associated with rival gangs. So the cliques was funking based upon gang mentality itself. And like you say, Scar, it was the main motivation, like you can see it in the name, like Flirts. It was about hanging out and partying and different things like that in my era. But it was also about, but it was as a default position, it was, but this what we out of. But this is what we trying to do. So it might not be it wasn't built on a set trip type of mentality, but the association with those type of affiliations was kind of strong in the clique generation that I came up in, because it was like everybody knew it already. You had about one or two that was bangers, like at a young age, that they didn't go through the clique part, and they was the ones who never went to school. They you know what I'm saying? They ditch was real ditch. They didn't go to school, they went to the spot. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They was 12 years old slanging dope at the spot, didn't go to nobody's school. You know, that's a different, those individuals did exist, but most of the individuals was associated with a clique, having fun, going to parties, And then it came that time where it got real. You can't go certain places like you can't used to go because they know you as a banker now.
You know, that brings something to mind. You know, there is a real association with ditching and banging. Right?
Yeah, for real.
Because you really can't stay in school all day, go through all the classes, and then get, you know, really, really involved in the bank. You got to leave. You got to ditch. You got to ditch.
Yeah,
and you gotta
yeah, for real.
and then come back for fifth period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo.
There's something to that truancy and gang. And I remember truant officers. I don't know in your area, but for sure in Michael and mine's, there were truant officers. Like LAPD had this like special unit, or maybe it was the school police, but they had a special unit that just all they did was drive around and try to find dudes out of school, and they take you to these little buildings and drop you off for the rest of the day. All that.
Exactly.
Marcus, you're not really that much younger than we are. I mean, you are younger.
I'm pretty younger than y'all.
Not pretty.
What? How old is you?
Not pretty young.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
He's not pretty young. Yeah, you are. Actually, you are.
Yeah, you are.
I'm young enough to be y'all's son.
Because I'm hearing him.
I'm literally young enough to be Michael's son.
I'm hearing him talk about these cliques, right? And where I really learned about a lot of them, I was already in prison. And I started learning about a lot of these different cliques. Because I know when I was out there on the streets, if I ran across a clique in my neighborhood, man, that's an open, I could do anything to them people. That's how I used to think.
Right.
If I need some money, I'm gonna go over here and go get some money from them dudes. You know, that's how I looked at it. Like, you better not be on the street and I come through there. But I did hear later on that a lot of those like tagger type of groups was cliques, party groups was cliques, and a lot of them became gang members. You know, and I even used to like debate with some of the dudes that I was in prison with. They were dudes around your age, and I used to basically tell them, man, y'all was wannabes, man. Y'all was you really was a buster. I used to basically tell them so, you know, but I understand it was just different times. Times had changed.
And that's the thing, right? You know, like the truth of the matter is, right? They're not really busters, right? But that's, remember how that's just how we are.
That was the mindset.
Right.
Thing, like, you know, like you're like, you either this or you're nothing. You're like, you know,
exactly. Right.
There's no gray. There's no wiggle room. It's exactly
on the real.
And we don't even realize, you know, that what we're actually talking about is just generational cultural things that are just continuing on and evolving. Right. And it's evolving. Evolving from what we were, and they looked at what we were doing, like, I'm good on that. I'm good on that. If I go to the Hawthorne model, I gotta end up dead.
On the real. That's the truth, man. That's the truth.
Yeah. So as you progress in your life and you end up in prison, what was that transition like when you after you were in prison, you still from trouble, you out there doing you banging in the joint, you doing your thing. When did it happen that you decided that you wanted to begin a new process, and what did it look like? What happened? What is the beginning stages? Because it's never, we talk about this, we don't become who we are overnight, right? That's a long process that continues to go on and on and on. So talk about the beginning of that process for you.
All right. So the beginning of that process. So when I came to prison, like I say, I was the youngest dude on the yard when I came to prison. I was the fresh 18, and it wasn't nobody. They sent me straight. Pelican Bay was the first prison I came to after reception. I went straight to Pelican Bay, and then I was there from 2004. I was there from 2004 all the way up until 2010. So I did the first 6 years in prison in Pelican Bay, and we troubled trouble. I was up there with Ball, and I did the first 6 years in straight complete chaos because it was wartime. You know what I'm saying? So I did 4 years out of that 6 years I was in the shoe. So you know what I'm saying? It was like it was so much war, and my natural disposition, even though I always been with the funk in activities, which always landed me in the shoe and different type of things. But I always had this disposition that of wanting some peace. You know, I
Right.
always wanted peace, even in the middle of the madness. I always used to be like wanting peace, and at times it left me at odds in the game because sometimes the mentality of some dudes who got the car on the yard, my personality used to clash with them because I used to think that it's foolishness. Like, you know what I'm saying? When somebody want to have a war or something and go on forever uh, off of stuff that really didn't mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? And I was young, but my mind was always processing that. So I found myself frustrated a lot while I was up in the shoe. And I used to be up in the shoe and I used to be like, dang, this is stupid. Not the stupid part of representing the turf and all that type of stuff, because that was appealing to me. But I used to see the hurt on my family face. And I used to look at the reason why I'm up in the shoe. And I used to be like, this is some stupid shit. You know what I'm saying? This is just stupid. So I was always a man that talked to God. I grew up a Christian. So I used to pray and all that type of stuff. And brothers used to be like, man, Bang over there praying, you know, Bang is tripping. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I didn't went through phases like, man, I'm cool on this, you know, because it used to get me so frustrated that, you know, it was just always this chaos and it was never no sense to it. You know what I'm saying? It was just for no damn reason. But I used to be, like I say, the impressionable individual that even though it don't make sense, I'm about to make my impression. You know what I'm saying? So I always was in the middle of some trouble. But as I got on and I guess started making a name for myself in prison, I carried on those beefs. And sadly to say, that's one of the most regrettable things in my life. I started taking on that mentality that used to upset me so much. I started facilitating those same teachings that I used to be disturbed by. And I used to be young people coming in prison. I have them in a war-like mentality from the jump for no damn reason, hurting their families and all that. And it used to hurt me that I'm doing that. And I had become that individual that I used to straight despise their actions. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, I'm that dude now. I'm that dude. So
You start channeling the people that taught you. I mean, I used to
yeah,
channel for years.
yeah.
I'd be like, wait, I haven't got no glasses here. Wait, let me see. Wait, I don't got no glasses. But Papa do this. He drop his glasses. He drop it. How that work?
Yeah, hey.
But I know exactly what you mean.
I fully embraced it.
And I used to channel for baby up too.
Yeah,
I used to channel for too. I mean, like they were kind of like my mentors, and I used to. Yeah, I get it. No, I understand exactly what you mean. Like
absolutely,
you putting out what the people gave you, right? The people, particularly the people with names and reputations, and the people that you respected, what they gave you, you giving it back, you know, and you just learn and moving forward, and mimicking.
Especially when you see that, when you succumb to the reality of what's going on in prison, then as far I put quotation marks on it, you start seeing a level of penitentiary success. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Because I learned a whole lot of negative principles that I stood on for so long. Like, you know what I'm saying? You can't put people used to say you can't put a positive with a positive and a negative still gonna be negative. So you got to meet negative with negative. You know what I'm saying? And so I started meeting people with that negative. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to be like, this is the way to show and to make people know that I ain't to be messed with type of circumstance. But the long story short is that I just couldn't find myself out of the shoe, because I was that dude that, you know, I was when I live in the beef, I started living in the beef. And I was a dude that never forgot about the street beefs up in prison. So it was always some type, if it wasn't racial, it was gang affiliated beefs, all the way until I got to Salinas Valley. And this was in 2012. At the end of the year, I got to Salinas Valley, and in 2013 I became a Muslim. But I became a Muslim is a strange story. My co-defendant, who was a little, he even more off the hook than I was, uh, and he was on the yard, and but Islam was speaking to his life at the time when I pulled up. And so he was going to the masjid, and I was like, "Hey, homie, you getting all religious on me?" And he was making prayers, and I was just like standing by him, like, this my homeboy. He gonna pray. I got his back, type of stuff. And he would be on the masala, and I'd be standing by him, and so, and we were cellies at the time. And I started seeing not only how it was affecting his day-to-day routine, but he was making him become a sincere individual. And so I started, I was always into books and stuff. And I started, when he was studying, I was studying with him. He started learning the Arabic alphabet. I would teach him the Arabic alphabet. He started learning the Al-Fatiha, which is the opening of the Quran. I would be teaching him and learning with him the Al-Fatiha. And when I was doing that, lo and behold, he reading these Islamic books, and I'm doing it like, just like being a homeboy. Like, my homie into this, this is my brother, man. We in the cell. What you reading? And it started speaking to me in my life. And I could just say, once Islam spoke to me on a level where I was convinced and I was sure with certainty that it was the truth, it was nothing that was about to stand in my way that was going to keep me from submitting to Allah. And so I told him, I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was saying the Al-Fatiha, and I told him, brother, I'm taking my Shahada in the morning. And he was like, man, what you talking? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. But mind you, he had already taken his Shahada. But I came, and the next morning we went to the masjid, talking to the brother, the Imam, who was the chaplain up there, Imam Lawal. And I went up in there and like, man, I want to take my Shahada. And ever since that day, it was, I'm going to submit to Allah, because I know this is the truth. And whatever I've been on, even though I've been trying to convince myself that it's the truth, I can't continue to stand on it no more.
So
and I ain't gonna lie,
how hard or how easy was that? Once you became convinced, of, like I'm going to be on this path. This is going to be my life path.
Yeah.
How hard or what easy was it? So it's easier to separate yourself from the set than it is to separate yourself from all the learned behaviors of the set. It's much easier to do that, because all you have to do is say, hey, look, I'm done. People either going to accept that or it's going to be something else. That's a kind of really easy thing to do, right? Or it's at least black and white. But the behaviors that we learn as gang members, the things that we grow up with, and that stuff that we take on, that's a lot harder to get rid of than the title, changing my name from J Mouse to Oscar. That's a whole lot more involved. So what was that like for you? How difficult was that for you to get rid of the mindset and the behavior of a LA gang member, or just a gang member period, but you were from LA, but then when you made that transition?
Okay, so the difficulty of it, I would say the difficulty of it is still difficult.
Absolutely.
It's still difficult. It's still difficult. And at times it's the easiest thing in the world, because you like that certainty. It's the easiest thing in the world to be like, I'm not that no more. But you run across different life circumstances you encounter different triggers in your life, and you see that, okay, that's why I really understand that saying these days, God ain't through with me yet.
Yeah.
Because you really can encounter circumstances in life that show you that it's still a struggle. Even when I took when I took my shahada, I went straight to the yard and looking at my brothers that I've been in the paint with and doing all of the madness with, looking at them and honestly telling them, because some of them, I mean, one of my brother, me and Tariq, the brother Lil Midnight, we talked to the brothers at the same time. But Tariq was, you know, he was like, he was telling the brother. I remember this day. He told the brothers, we up in the masjid, and we tell the brother, we pull him over into the room on the side in the masjid, and we like telling them that we stepping into Islam, and we stepping away from the Turk. But he told him something. He was speaking to him before me, and he was like, but if y'all need anything, y'all know that y'all my brothers if y'all ever need me. And I was already at a point in Islam, even though it was a short time, where I had grasped the understanding through my studies. Once we had that conversation with them, that I could not consciously as a Muslim support evil or support the wrongness. So I said, I can't lie to you, brothers. I can never support what is against Islam another day of my life.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest thing, because I could see, you see some brothers look at it different. Some brothers look at it like, dang, we really losing a homie. Some brothers look at it like, oh, the homie marking out. Some brothers look at it like, what like, and they don't understand, or some people can't even grasp it. They just think the homie going through a phase. He'll be back in a minute.
Right.
You know?
Right. Because they can't imagine, like, what? No, hell no.
Yeah. You got different people that go through different emotions when that type of stuff happens. And so it was hard to look, and you see that homeboys, you know, that love you, it's a different look to their face. Homies that you love, it's a different look to their face now. And you know that it ain't gonna never be the same.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't gonna never be the same. And so that was the hardest thing. And then other things, I had a situation with you when I encountered a brother. I was trying my best to implement forgiveness and mercy in my life. And then I had a brother that was on some weird, not a brother, but a dude that was on the yard who was doing some weird stuff, and he tried to get over with some money. And the hardest thing in me was not to lose everything over that money he was trying to get over on.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing. I believe that was the hardest, because in me, I wanted to stab him.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember.
But I knew that me doing that, not only would it cause continual damage to my family, but it was something that he was still lost in ignorance. The drugs had a hold of his head, and I made the dumb decision to deal with him when he was still lost in that ignorance.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And but that was a hard thing, a hard hurdle to cross. You know what I'm saying? It was hard because everything in me wanted to react and show him that, you know, Umar, you don't know Baby Bang. You know,
Absolutely.
Right. We all have that. And that pops up, and it doesn't end. You know, I'm 53 years old. You know, I've been a Muslim for a long time, and there are times when I'd be like, dude, man, do you know Like, but Duck used to say this all the time. Baby, Duck be like, yeah, man, you know what I would do to you? I was be like, man, dude, do you? I be like, dude, you know I'm not well.
Hey,
Do you understand that I'm,
hey,
I'm not
hey,
normal?
look, that's what keep me from going back to that mentality now.
Yeah,
Because I think about who I was, and I be like, I already know that if I go back to that, I'm done. I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
I'm shit. It's over with.
yeah, 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 yeah,
I'm gonna be back in prison. You
It's
feel me?
over.
yeah,
So
for real.
right, that's man.
I fight against that at every turn, and I'm not just talking about now. I'm just talking about forever. Like I had to fight against that mentality because I
Exactly.
was always all or nothing, right? I was always too
Right.
much for me, and you know,
Absolutely.
why I was supposed to do 18 months. I did 6 years, right?
Absolutely.
Because I just kept getting staff assault after staff assault because I was just I couldn't figure out how to turn off the thing. So I had this on and off switch for most of my life. That was it.
Yeah,
I was either on
For
or off.
for a long time, I thought in terms of black and white.
yeah.
Right,
It wasn't no gray
No,
area.
no medium.
It's either
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah,
or it's that.
right.
And just
yeah,
like you was talking about, it was homies that looked at you this way or that way. I would have been one of them homies that would have been looking at you like you a piece of shit.
Yep.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
how I
for
would have
real.
looked at you
How
like,
he would
man,
have looked at
Yeah,
you.
that nigga, fuck him. That's where I
yeah,
would have been
yeah,
on. But as I started maturing and evolving, I started realizing that this person is doing what's best for him, for his life.
yeah,
You know what I'm
for
saying?
real.
So yeah, but man, I feel you.
On the real.
And that's what those talk that personal growth I was talking about there is that when you're going through this struggle of becoming Muslim and leaving the gang culture behind you, one of the things that we have to come to grips with is that why I talk about evolution, not abandonment, right? Because we got to evolve. We evolve into different things, but we can never abandon it because it's a part of us. So we have to always struggle with that part and recognize, like Baby Duck was talking about, the actual destructive nature of returning to that person. I used to tell people this all the time. I said, you look at me and I'm gonna tell you something that's absolutely true. I wake up every morning and choose this,
Right,
Straight
right?
up.
right,
I know how to be something else.
right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I choose this every morning. I wake up
On the
Exactly.
every
real.
morning, make a conscious choice to be the man I am because I know how to be something else. I can
For
if
real.
you want to see me be something else, I can. I mean, I don't want to, show up. I'm saying, but I can do that. And I
Absolutely.
recognize
Absolutely.
that in me.
Right.
Excuse me. I recognize that in me, and that's what when we're making that transition, we actually always have to recognize we don't get over it. We think that we heal. We don't heal from this.
Right.
Becoming a gangster lives trauma in your life that you're going to live with for the rest of your life, right? You said something in your song, like in the theme song, and I want people to hear that whole thing. But you said, I seen stuff that no kid should ever have to see, right? Like
I
that,
seen stuff that shouldn't an ordinary child see. From
right,
bullet
right,
wounds, cats walking like they got gout feet.
right.
Gangsterism, learned behavior, kept a scout sheet so the predators wouldn't slide through and route me. It was crazy. Yeah.
Man, I listened to that thing about like 6, 7 times. Hey, probably tired of me
Right.
listening. I'll be like, boom, and I throw it up and put it on the speaker, like,
But
because it's us, man. It's not just music. It's speaking to everything we were, everything we lived, all the things that that made us who we were. That's what it's talking about, and it's coming from a perspective of post, right? It's coming from the perspective of, okay, I beyond this, but yet still you can hear all of the emotionality of when you were in it right there in the
Straight
song.
up.
It's amazing. People can we have to figure out where we can get people to listen to the entire song. I might just put one up on the channel, just the whole song. But the theme song that you listen to when this comes in, you only hear the first bar. But it's an amazing song because it speaks to exactly who. If you a gangster and you listen to that and be like, nah, I ain't feeling that. That don't mean nothing to me. That's I'm calling BS. I'm calling BS.
I'm
I'm like, yeah,
calling BS.
you wasn't in this lifestyle. I don't know what's lifestyle. Damn sure wasn't in this one.
Yeah,
yeah.
real.
Yeah. Hey, but another thing I want to speak on is that when us changing our lives, we're helping other people too, because like, you know, you had, like you was talking about your homies, some of your homies like, damn, we losing a homie. Really, you don't want me to go back to that lifestyle. My homies shouldn't want me to go back to that lifestyle because not only am I going to jail, but you going to jail with me. Because that's what type of homie I was. Yeah, you going to jail with me. Because I'm gonna do some crazy stuff, and I'm gonna make sure you with me. You know that? You feel me though? That used to be my thinking, J-Mo. I used to be like, especially if it's a dude that did some bullshit on the yard, I used to be like, I'm gonna kick some shit off. I'm gonna make sure his ass is there with me. I might even get him too while I do this shit. While I get the police, I'm gonna get his ass too. That's the type of thinking I had.
Hey, no, that's hey, like hey, I'm just flashing back. That sounds just like Baby Duck now. It's like, yeah. Hey, check this out. We finna go over here and knock the police down, right? And then we finna get his ass too because he ran out last time. So we finna, you know, that sounds just like you do. Yeah. Yeah. But it's a blessing to like to be able to move beyond that and to get. I was at the park one time and all the homies was there, like, you know, it's all the old head day, right? And all the homies is there. And I just looked around, man. And I think I was talking to youngster or somebody. I was like, man, I said, we made it, man. Like we made it. Like it's look at everybody. And that wasn't promised because the lifestyle was so dangerous that death in penitentiary were for life was not only real possibilities, they were the possibilities that you had to embrace, man, that you was going to die out there, man, or the people's going to lock you up and throw away the key and you was never going to see the streets again. And just so happened, fortunately, the laws just begin to change and they started letting people out of prison, but that wasn't due to anything that we did. I mean, that was just the way society was deciding to roll for a moment. But the thing about that is that when we get out here, we have a responsibility, right? To show the system that you did the right thing by letting us out, right? You did the right thing by letting us out because keeping us in there, that's another thing I often talk about. Sometimes you can stay in jail too long, right? Meaning that you make a lot of gains and there's just no reward for them. And you just like, it draws on you, it sucks on your soul. And you're like, you know what? And then you start going backwards. You start to see yourself in your discipline because you just like, it's too long. It's like, and so they do the right thing by letting people out when they're ready to get out here, and we do the right thing by actually coming out and modeling manhood for
doing the right thing, right?
And the one thing that we have that I guess is that, you know, we all, you know, we all are who we are, right? And we can stop an individual from pushing up us, you know, and do it very easily, right?
We have influence.
Right.
Just like we did in a negative way, we can have that same influence in a positive way.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the thing that we have the ability to say, hey, you might not like what we're doing.
Right.
You know, and I don't want to be, you know, crass and talk tough or nothing, but like and like, you know, like, okay, what's next? You don't like it, and what? Like if you ain't prepared to, you know, why? You know, so, you know, we have that in us. You know, we don't want to bring, we don't want to bring that out. We never want that to come forward. Never want people to be seeing that from us, but it's there. So
would I tell one of the homies, I ain't gonna mention his name, but what I tell him a lot when I talk to him is that I don't have to be Baby Duck no more. I'm already that person. So I don't have to be that person no more. You know what I'm saying? I can be, you know, a better version of that person now, but it's still in me. I'm already that person, you know?
Right. And you can't, so evolution, you got to evolve him because you can't abandon them because you can't leave them nowhere. You got to figure out how to, you know, I always, and I say a box, right? I used to tell people, man, I put J Mouse in a box, right? J Mouse is in a box in the center of me, right? And I try to keep that dude locked in there, right? Because that's a very, you know, like you were talking about, Umar, like, oh no, it was a little Dame was talking about. It was actually football was said that, but the thing is that your guy, right? Whoever you were, that guy is trying to destroy you all the time. Right, that's that guy, that whoever that was, whoever you became that's the guy who's always trying to destroy you.
That was a self-destructive guy. That guy was self-destructive.
He's the one telling you to knock the boss out, right? Like you were with, man, knock that dude out.
Right.
Knock his ass out, right?
Exactly.
You know, like I'll see you in the parking lot, I'll pull you, fool, I'll down you. Like that guy is always popping up, trying to, and you got to. So for me, I just call it a box. I put him in the box, right? You got to stay in the box. You don't get to come out and play. You know, but there are times when he escapes the box, right? Now, I got to be strong enough when he escapes the box to wrestle his ass back down up in there and put the lock back on, right? That's how I feel that whole situation. Because he's always going to be there as long as I breathe breath, and I always got to fight against him as long as I breathe breath.
Right. Real. Straight up. Alhamdulillah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, this has been a very enlightening interview, man. I really enjoy you being here. We're going to try to shorten them because we like to do an hour, 5-minute interviews. So I'm trying to shorten them down, so not to edit down too much. But we'll get better as time goes on. We're gonna advance. To Umar, you know, I talked to you about coming on board with the company and actually and doing our thing. So we're gonna figure all that part out and get it in. Right. But, because I tell people when I say amazing talent, I'm like, I know because I was there, so I personally seen the whole process. But when people just hear that, like I got a call the other day, like they said, who did that? Who was that? It's I'm like, it's like, man, nice. I mean, it is. So, in any case,
just think he started off in Pelican Bay.
Yeah,
his first prison system.
That's important.
You understand what I'm saying? I mean, anybody who's been to Pelican Bay understand that you're gonna go into Pelican Bay, you're gonna have a soldier mentality up there. Because that's what it's about. Like you said, it was about war up there. You have to have a certain mindset, So and now to sit here and be talking to you and you producing raps like that and just seeing you, boy, you came a long ways, man. And it's good to meet you, bro.
Thank you, man. Good to meet you as well, brother. Good to meet you as well, man.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Alhamdulillah. Okay, well, so we're gonna wrap this up, man. This has been Gangsta-Gangsta. On behalf of my host, Deacon Michael Hall, and Umar.
That's who I am today, Deacon Michael Hall.
It's okay. Wait a minute. No, hold on. No, on behalf of my big homie.
No. We gonna stop that. We're gonna slow that down, man. Deacon Michael Hall, I'm gonna take that. Deacon Michael Hall.
What happened, Deacon? What happened?
Take that, bro.
Yes. So on behalf of the Deacon Michael Hall right here and Umar, we thank you for coming to the Gangsta-Gangsta, and we'll talk to somebody on our next episode.
Yeah. I was in the heart of it, man. I was in the heart of it, where it all happened, in the dark of it. I'm talking all the graphic. Do I ever miss a block? Man, they all asses. I think it's heaven at the top till it all crashes. I was